What is up everybody, welcome back to the channel, and in this video I'm going to take a look at the Sentinel Classic Widebody, aka like the upgrade from Benny's that did come out today. So if you guys do want to get this car, you're looking at about almost 500k to actually buy it, and it looks like the Benny's upgrade is going to be around $700,000. This car does look insanely cool with the wide body kit, and with this specific BMW model, I would say a lot of players are going to pick this thing up. But nonetheless though, let's customize this real fast here. So let's do the armor, go over to the brakes, moving down to the bumpers. Okay, so there's 15. Now if I had to guess, I would say some of the customization is probably not going to be new on this vehicle, because obviously this car has been in the game for a while. There's also a good amount of bumpers you can throw on there. Not really digging that really big splitter on the front, but I kind of like that, I guess. So for me personally, I'm probably going to end up going with like the racer bumper on there. I think that one does look pretty sweet, but the rest of them I'm not really digging all that much. Move down to the rear bumpers. Going to be 17 other ones you can add. You have the attack bumper. That looks pretty nice. Kind of like that. Adds like the pieces on the top there. Kind of like that. Then we're going to have the carbon. Then we have the racer. Kind of like the racer one a bit too. Not really digging the carbon fiber like bottom canyard splitter kind of things coming down, but the rest of that does look kind of cool, I guess. Canyards there. Man, look how nice the wide body fitment looks too. Look at that. Sometimes the cars look really bad, like that one pickup truck that's in Benny's. My goodness, that thing is hard to look at. Now moving over to the final bumpers here, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really digging many of the bumpers on the car, so for me I'm probably gonna end up doing the attack bumper. I think that one looks pretty nice on there. Let's go to the engine here. So valve covers. So similar to many of the other Benny's cars and even some of the tuners, you can actually customize how the engine looks. So there's a skull, then we have the camo. So for me, I'll probably go with the polished one, kind of like that. And now moving over to the engine cover now, so there is a good amount of these you can add. So there's the primary, that one's kind of cool. Painted, polished, carbon, similar to like the other customization on some of the vehicles. You'll probably have a bit of different things you can do. So for me, I kind of want the blue one on there that's exposed. So let's do the blue exposed there. No, you can't really see it. Then we have the strut brace. So for this one, I might go with, let's see. Those are way too big, I think, for this. Let's go with that one. Polished. Intercoolers. Which, can't really see anyway, so I'll go the intercooler with the water sprayer. Then we have the air filter. Check that out here. Let's zoom in. Can I go this side, maybe? You can kind of see the side of it now. There we go. That weird camera angle. Kind of like the mesh one. That's kind of cool. We're going to have the individual cone filters, and we have the carbon. So for me, I'm probably going to go with the carbon one, kind of like that a bit. Engine tune, max that out. Moving over to the exhaust now. Ooh, those are kind of nice. Titanium looks good. I kind of like the carbon. The aluminum looks kind of nice too. Those are like pointed upwards a little bit. Look at that. I have a feeling a lot of players are probably going to end up getting this car, mainly because, well, for one, it is like an old BMW M3, and I feel like this car is kind of iconic, and the fact that they finally added the wide body one in the game is pretty awesome. And then it looks like you can actually paint the fenders with a secondary color and or carbon fiber. For me, I'm probably going to end up leaving this to match the paint of the car, but I do think the carbon fiber looks pretty sweet on here. Kind of like that. Moving over to the headlight covers now, so we have the, ooh, I kind of like that one. For some reason, I always love rally stuff, so I might have to go with those on there. Then we have the X's on it. Then we have the red headlight glass. Then we have the green, blue, and yellow. So let's go with the yellow one. It would be kind of cool if we can actually add the lights to it as well, but unfortunately you can't do both. That's kind of unfortunate. But now moving over to the grills for the Sentinel here. So here's the stock one. Then we have the primary. Looks like the regular like STD grill there. Then we have the racer. Secondary carbon, similar to some of the others. I kind of like how that one looks. I'm not really digging some of these. What in the world is that? All right. Then we have the last one, basically carbon secondary and then like the regular grill. It looks like a lot of the customization on some of these games tend to do that, but nonetheless, though, let's move down. I'll probably end up leaving this completely stock. I kind of like how that looks on this car. Let's move down to the hood now. So the hood catches here. So there is a few you can actually add to the vehicle, and for me, I think the chrome ones actually look the best on there, but the angled ones I guess don't look too bad, but it's probably going to come down to like the overall color and like the build you guys have on your car. Moving over to the hoods now, there's going to be 20 of these, and or, you know, kind of 19 if you don't consider the stock one there. But for the hoods, I will probably end up leaving this stock too, even though the vented ones don't look too bad on there. I kind of like how that looks with the actual like secondary painted. That actually looks kind of nice. Then we have the carbon. Then we have the hood scoop. That looks kind of weird. I don't know about that one. Got carbon. Then we have the more vents there. And then moving over to the cutout hood allows you to look into the engine. Then we have the transparent, which looks kind of insane on there. Then we have the secondary transparent. That looks so weird, doesn't it? Like, what in the world? And after that, we're going to move down to the horns, which don't actually matter than the interior. So we have the dash here. So moving down to the adapt interior, which it looks like it changes the bottom of it there. Then it looks like that actually paints it and or strips some more. Adds some stuff onto the steering wheel, it looks like. Then we have like the dash being more upgraded. Then we have the flocked one, which I actually don't completely know what flocked actually means. Car guys in the comments below, let me know what that actually means because I honestly have no idea. And then moving down to the carbon dash, I really do like how that one looks, so I did end up putting that on the vehicle. Let's move over to the doors now. So for this, I really don't know why, but I'm just not a big fan of the doors for some reason. I mean, I just don't really like how these look on the car. I don't know if it's like how they're designed or what, but I just don't think they look all that good. For me, I did end up going with the lightweight weave panels. I think that one does look pretty awesome on there. I would say most of the builds of these vehicles, like the doors and all that, it's really going to come down to what you guys actually want on your vehicle. At least it does give us many options to do so, though. So let's move down to the seats now. 15 of these to put on the car. Can I go in third person? There we go. Let's check out the seats here. Kind of like the red on there. We got green. The seats are going to get a little bit bigger. Looks like they're going to continue that trend. Then we have like racing bucket like carbon seats, which have to be super uncomfortable, I would guess. So for me, I'm probably going to end up going with something like this on there. I mean, I do think those look pretty nice. Then we'll have the actual steering wheels here, which I'm not really sure what I want to do with the steering wheel of this vehicle because I kind of like how they look. How we go with the Rally Basic on this? Then we have the light color. So I normally don't mess with the light colors of my vehicles because it's kind of hard to see some of the stuff. So I'm going to end up going with the ice white. Kind of see how dark that would be if you put like a weird color on there. And then moving over to the roll cage now we have, I believe that's a half cage. And now I figured I would go into first person mode to actually show the other cages off so you can really see them. So the drift cage does have some nice detail to it. Then moving down to the padded drift cage. Obviously it's just going to add some pads to it. Then we have the racer one. And then finally the padded racer cage. So for me, I'll probably go with the street half on there. And then moving over to the lights now. So for this, I'll just do the LEDs, even though there's no point because my lights are already yellow. Then over to the livery. So let's see what we got here. So here's the first one. We have the white stripe. Then we have the black arrow. Then the white. Then we have the black racing on the bottom. Then we have the white. Then we have the piss washer. Kind of like that one a bit. Then we have the red wood. We have the pole position. I think some of these do look pretty nice. It probably is going to depend on what you guys like. If I had to guess, I would say this is probably the livery many players will end up picking. It would honestly be kind of difficult not to pick this one because it really does match the actual like color of like the M series. So I would say this is probably the one many people will definitely choose. Then we have the last two after that, which for me, guys, I'm probably not going to add a livery to the vehicle. I was actually going to make this car red, but let's see if we can move over to that now. We have the louvers, which I will most likely not put any of these on the car, but I would say some of them actually do look pretty good. And for some odd reason, when I think about this M3, I would actually add something like that to the car because I do feel like the louvers would fit it. But I'm not sure if I'm really feeling these on there. Look at that. And then moving down to the carbon split louvers, then we have the GT and so on after that. So it looks like that's going to be all of them. Again, guys, I'm just not really feeling how those look on the car, but I would say depending on your build, those actually might look kind of cool on there. Moving over to the color now. So for this, I'm probably going to go with a red color. And for this, I did end up picking Torino red. And then for the pearlescent, I do want it black so it doesn't actually mess the car up at all. Do that, and then the secondary color, which is already black. For that, I'm probably going to leave that regular because I think it fits it that way. Then we have the trim color here, which not really sure if I want more red inside of the car. So I will most likely end up leaving this graphite because I think it looks the best that way. And then moving down to the next thing is going to be the roof now. So we have the aerial, roof fins. I kind of like how those look on there. We have the secondary. We have lights. Oh my, look at that. That looks, that does not look right on there. I don't know about that. It looks like it's almost like forced, like it doesn't really belong on the hood of the vehicle. Then we have, okay, that's a roof deflector for who knows what. Then we have the rack on the top. I'm not gonna lie, the rack actually looks pretty sweet. Let's go with the rack. Then we have the racer after that. Then we have the secondary and or carbon. Moving down to the drift skirts now. See, like all of these actually look pretty dang good on the car. Like none of them really look that bad. I have to give Rockstar credit on this. I really do. And then moving over to the sun strips now, which I will probably not add this to the vehicle, but at least you do have the option. Then we have the spoilers. Let's check these out. So we have the secondary, and then we have the ducktail. We have the primary, and then carbon and secondary. Then we have the tail. That one looks kind of nice on there. We have the secondary, carbon once again. Then here's the street. That one looks kind of nice on this actually. We have the secondary and carbon again. Then we have the GT. I have a feeling there's going to be a really big wing for this vehicle, but oh my gosh, look at that one. Okay, to be honest, these actually don't look as bad as I thought, and that one slightly reminds me of something you'd see on a Porsche. Then moving over to the suspension, let's lower it all the way down. Then we have the transmission and the turbo, and then here's the wheels. Now for the rims on the Sentinel Classic, I did actually end up going back to the Maze Bank Tower because I did want to have the street category on here, and unfortunately I wasn't actually finding that at the Benny's original motorworks, so I'm going to put the Wild Wagon on this car here. Then let's go over and add the black color to it. Let's do the tire design. Let's go with yellow. And then you can also do the windows as well for this. I'll probably go the light smoke just so you can actually see the interior of the car. But besides that, guys, that is going to be all the customization you can actually do to the vehicle. I would say a lot of players are most likely going to pick this thing up. So now moving over to the outside view of the Sentinel Widebody, I would say a lot of players are probably going to really like this car. Not only is this thing not actually insanely expensive, being around like $1.4 million or so, probably maxed out completely, but my goodness, guys, the detail in this car is definitely pretty insane. I mean, look at that interior, which I will show that here in a second a little bit more. I really do like the way the fenders look. We also have the trunk here with obviously the stuff in the back. And then moving over to the front of the vehicle here, you can definitely see the engine has some detail to it. Now, obviously, the entire thing isn't going to be completely detailed, but at least you can kind of see the top of it. So at least you could probably use this car for like car shows and or car meets. Which I was actually noticing this when I took this vehicle back to the Maze Bank Tower, because I was noticing this car was accelerating pretty nicely, which I was pretty impressed with that. But let's take a look at this interior now. So go back into first person mode. So you guys will see the detail. Obviously, when doing this at Benny's, you can actually change how the interior looks, including your seats and all that good stuff. Now, it doesn't look like you can actually change how the back of the car is back there, but for the most part, I would say the overall interior view does look pretty awesome. But now, besides all that, I really do think it's time to actually take this vehicle for a quick test drive. So one of the first things I noticed when driving it over to the Maze Bank Tower is this car does actually have some nice speed to it. Now, obviously, it is going to be a sports car, so it should be a little bit faster than like one of the sedans or something like that. So it also looks like the bumps in the city and or, hitting curbs and all that is going to make the speed increase pretty heavily. So this car is going to be insanely fast, similar to many of the other vehicles in pretty much every category when actually driving them in the city, which I do find this to be really fun. If you guys are doing missions and or, grinding stuff out, at least you can get around a little bit quicker. Not only that, I also find the overall handling of this car to be pretty dang good. It doesn't lose itself, and the stability doesn't seem to be really annoying on it or something where the car wants to get squirrely. I noticed the car's gripping pretty dang good as well, so I would say the wide body is improving it a little bit. Let's try this real fast. So go back and forth. As you guys will see, the car doesn't lose itself when doing that. It seems very grippy, so I think a lot of people are going to really like this vehicle. And most of the cars in GTA, like all the supercars for example, and even the sports cars, are going to cost well over 1.5 to 2 million now to get into any of those. So this car is going to be in that same exact category, but now you have something with a lot of customization, and not only that, this car actually is pretty dang fast as well. But now on my way over to Sandy Shores right now with the Sentinel Classic, my goodness, these pedestrians are really getting in the way just a little bit, but I would say the top speed on this car is probably going to be around 120 to 125 or so. I can't really see it there, and Unfortunately, I can't get like the dial on the side of my screen because I'm not on PC, but I would say this car is going to be pretty dang fast for the most part, and I feel like a lot of players are definitely going to love it. One vehicle I would really like to see added into GTA is going to be the Sentinel that was on GTA 4. It looks kind of like a BMW M3. I think it's an E36. I'm not 100% sure, but it's like the newer type of BMW, like an '08 or something like that. But regardless, I would say that style of BMW would look pretty sweet in the game, and I'm kind of surprised they haven't added that yet, but maybe in a future update we might see something like that. But at least we have the older style right here. I mean, this car is awesome. Rockstar really did do a great job with the wide body kit on this car. I mean, I'm really loving it. And luckily you can also take this thing into Benny's and do some extra goodies to it, so that's pretty awesome. One of the only drawbacks, guys, is probably going to be the $700,000 price tag to actually upgrade it. And if you're looking to get this car to like race and or like, maybe do time trials, it might not be the best thing to have. But then again, most of the sports cars are going to be pretty balanced now. Like for example, the Pariah is not going to be an absolute animal compared to everything else. I do believe that car's a little bit slower now, so at least we actually have other vehicles we can use. What in the world did that car just do? So now arriving by the tunnel here in Sandy Shores, I did want to do a final quick top speed test with the Sentinel. One thing I was noticing, by the way, guys, on my way over to the tunnel is actually the fact that this car was doing like 130 miles per hour. Now, unfortunately, I do know sometimes the odometer on the game is not going to be right and or accurate, but to be honest, I would say this car is moving pretty dang fast, and I would think it would probably be kind of close to what it's actually doing. I would say this car is probably going to be around 130 miles an hour, but regardless though, I'm actually really impressed with the Sentinel so far. Not only is this car not insanely expensive compared to many of these sports cars, but it's also going to have a lot of customization as well. So I actually like this thing a lot, and not only that, I'm also a fan of the M3s in general, so seeing something like this in the game with the wide body kit actually fitting the car correctly is probably going to make a lot of players really happy to see this thing in here, and I feel like this thing is definitely going to be worth a look if you guys are looking at something different. One thing I do want to mention though is if you guys are driving this car around and you do happen to crash it, do keep in mind this is going to be a Benny's car, so it's going to be really expensive to actually fix it. I think it's like $3,000 to $5,000 or something if it's even scratched a little bit, so it's going to be up there. If you do find yourself crashing a lot, I would say you're going to find yourself going to Los Santos Customs kind of often, and that's probably going to add up pretty dang fast. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on the Sentinel wide body in the comments below. I would say this is probably the one car in the update a lot of players were waiting for, and there's apparently a rumor that another update is coming very soon on GTA, which hopefully we will have more information on that soon.